Thank you for being you. Thank you for all that you are. Okay, so here we are. No reason why them dogs be barking. I light this candle to protect you, me, and our families. And I've lit this candle to protect Mother Earth. Now, let me see. You're not going to be seeing the full table today. I don't think that's going to be happening so much. I have no idea what's happening out there. Just hold up. What are you barking at? Stop it. You're a muggle. You are. You're a muggle girl. No, no. Please excuse. Or just that there be a chance for somebody or anybody to join the room and navigate through the deep shadow banning that is taking place here on YouTube and across many platforms, right? And just calling in protection. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being you. So, here we are, breaking the king's curse. Oh, that's right, breaking the king's spell. Did I say curse or spell? I can't remember. I have to be completely honest and say that the plans that I had for this reading have been changed somewhat as I had a lot of channeled messages coming through last night and a lot of ancient energies communicating with me. So, yeah, this is, I hope that if you do resonate with this, that you will watch the preludes. There are 2 different preludes to this reading. that have breaking the king's spell within it. Yeah, so let's just call in extra protection. And if you work with any ancient gods or ancient deities, if you have any spirit guides or ancestors that you know are present with you at the moment, please take this time to thank them, to acknowledge them, and to ask any ones that have less than honorable intentions to please move out of this space. I'm just going to start. I have no idea how this is going to go, to be honest. So I'm just going to start by pulling a few tarot cards. Please give me clear and divine guidance to be most beneficial for everyone involved. So this is definitely connected to dominance. I'm not sure how much I'm meant to share. Like, that's just going to unfold as we go on. Yeah, of course. You may be somebody who has been experiencing a lot of spiritual warfare. You may be somebody who has had to lay down the lines of communication in a new... Fucking serious? Are you serious? Okay. Please give me clear and divine guidance, be messages for the entire collective. Breaking the king's spell. Breaking the king's spell. Many deities, many goddesses, many old ancient gods who believe in the divine feminine, who worship woman, who worship Gaia, who worship mother, and respect and worship the feminine within them, are coming forward. Are coming forward at this time as we have a mighty restoration process required. Please give me clear divine guidance to be most beneficial for everyone involved. Okay. Okay, so we have the energy of the Empress and the Emperor coming forward. The Empress and the Emperor are divine feminine, divine masculine counterparts. They match each other. I'm seeing a long boat carved out of wood. Okay. Connected to Aries energy, connected to Virgo energy. You may be Virgo, you may be an Aries, you may be connected to these archetypes. We then have the Queen of Wands, divine feminine, fire sign energy. We then have the Seven of Wands, which of course is also connected to fire sign energy. Seven of Wands is often spoken about as competition. And it's interesting that we have the way that the cards have now how they first fell. Hold on. Yeah, so you may be finding that there is competition in your life connected to the King's spell. It's interesting if we're talking about the King's spell, as the Emperor is spoken about as having the gifts, the powers, I just heard the fortitude of all of the kings in the tarot deck. So the King of Wands, the King of Swords, the King of Pentacles, and the King of Pucks. That's interesting because if you know anything about Shakespeare and the character Puck, so there could be a fairy energy involved here. There's so much energy. It's like the Emperor is Please give me clearing divine, just clearing the path, clearing the path. Opening up the table, clearing the path. Clearing the chakras, opening up the crown. And antenna out. There will be a mighty clearing away of illusions. The illusions may be torn from you like the roots of a tree, or a tree being torn from the earth itself. This happens in mighty storms. This happens in times of chaos. This happens in times of great change. You may be finding that your root structure, the things that tie you to the earth are not what you thought they were. There are many ancient beings coming forward to communicate with us at this time. Aries is also connected to the god of war. There is a lot of Greek mythology that can teach us a lot at this time. Please give me clear and divine guidance to be most beneficial for everyone involved. We then have the Ace of Wands, the King of Swords. This is about clarity, knowing what to do with fire energy, knowing what to do with creation energy. When all is torn asunder, what is to come from it? When all is torn apart, what can grow from the rubble? What can grow from the chaos? What can grow and sprout from the fields of blood? Such as the Tower card, connected to the Tower card. They're wanting me to read a quote for you from this book called Beneath the Mask, an introduction to theories of personality by Christopher F. Monti and Robert N. Solod, the 7th edition. So this is speaking about inferiority and superiority, from minus to plus self-estimates. In light of Adler's childhood infirmities and his experiences of helplessness in the face of death, it is not surprising that he developed the concept of the inferiority complex. In 1927, this was first spoken about. Inferiority complexes. Part of the illusion of the king's spell, part of the illusion of the Prince of Demons spell, which is an energy and a frequency that has finally had itself flung out of the darkness into the light for us all to bear witness to, and decide how we will communicate with, what we will do to Farstead a safe vessel to travel forward through space and time. This can also connect to ideas of what's that word? What's that word for, like, somebody trying to trick you out of your spot, somebody trying to make you think that you're not who you are, somebody trying to make you believe that all of your gifts, your power, your magic, your knowledge, your wisdom, your life skills, be them from this incarnation or others, are not real, are not true. You know within yourself what is true. An inferiority complex can be connected to death, can be connected to that feeling when you are in an ocean of just how small you are in the mighty scheme of things, which is when we must focus in and understand that every single drop in the ocean makes the ocean. Every single molecule in your vessel makes you who you are. I've had some channeling coming through about the book of Genesis, connected to the original nakedness, connected to the story of Adam and Eve when they were not ashamed, they knew no shame. I've also chosen to have Aboriginal artwork behind me, which is from one of my bloodlines here in this incarnation. Before before the quote-unquote civilized European colonizers colonized this land, in all the Aboriginal languages there was no such word. In this land of Australia there was no word in the native languages for shame. We did not have a word for shame. We did not know the concept of shame. This was brought to us upon ships of colonization. Adler was acutely aware that a sense of powerlessness in the face of death is not the only way that inferiority complexes may arise. Physical inferiorities in the form or damaged or diseased organs may also be contributing factors. These defects may impede or prevent successful competition. Now I'm seeing Ivan the Boneless. I'm seeing a carving of him transforming into a living representation of Ivan. Ivan was a Norse king, a Norse prince and a Norse king who was born quote-unquote deformed, and his parents actually were at first going to kill him because he was born unable to walk. It is known throughout many generations of many different cultures that people that are born different, people that are born deformed, people that have disabilities often have other unique abilities connected to the consciousness, connected to the third eye, and connected to the gods themselves, connected to other realms, and definitely connected to death. If you are somebody who is born different, somebody who is born quote-unquote deformed, disfigured, you come into this life with a sense and a knowingness of death. This brings to mind DMT, as it is commonly referred to in the English Eurocentric way. This talks about a certain chemical that is released when you die and when you were born. Your body naturally produces this chemical. This chemical and the reactions associated to it are connected to particular plants. These particular plants are medicine. I have some channeling that has come through today about the ancient Germanic heathens, quote-unquote heathens, self-identified heathens, the ancient Slavic, Norse, and Celtic tribes that worked with the medicine of the mushroom, the magic mushroom, as we refer to it today. This is also connected to the symbolism of ancient trees, particularly connected to Germanic tribes. This is also connected to the symbolism of the axe head. Axe heads were not only used in battle, but were used and still are today as a ceremonial symbol, particularly connected to lightning, thunder, and rain. Adler, if I hadn't mentioned it, was a very renowned, very well-known thinker philosopher and scientist who did a lot of work about human personalities and the fundamental human motive. What is the fundamental human motive at this time? What are we choosing and allowing to be the driving force, the driving motive? That is definitely connected to the archetypes of the emperor and the empress. I get the sense that there is a mighty emperor and empress who are destined to meet. The Tower card speaks of destruction in order to clear away what is no longer serving the collective. This time requires great bravery as well as loss, sacrifice, and a certain amount of time to mourn and grieve what has been lost. That is interesting, connecting into Adler's concepts around inferiority and superiority complexes. You may have an inferiority complex or a superiority complex, which is very concerning if we look at the world leaders today, quote unquote leaders. I speak about this not only in terms of the personalities of the leaders, but in terms of the regions, the countries, the ancient bloodlines connected to those regions. If you hold a certain bloodline, it's important for you to understand that the ancient gods connected to the bloodline, as well as the bloodlines that your bloodlines once battled, married into, traded with, colonized, conquered, etc., etc. They can all be activated within you. You have codes within you that can be activated. This is channeling, by the way. If you have not seen somebody channel, welcome. An overview of Adler's changing views of the fundamental human motive. And please keep in mind that there are many thinkers, scientists, and philosophers that have since challenged Adler's concepts connected to inferiority and superiority complexes, or from minus to plus estimates. Adler's theory itself constantly developed. The concepts of superiority and inferiority underwent several transformations as Adler refined his theories. Adler began with the view that a sense of inferiority is rooted in the physical organ defects. Slowly, this medical conception was modified towards a psychological emphasis on the person's perception of his or her own physical inferiorities. This directly connects to Genesis, the book of Genesis's connection to the concept of nakedness, the concept of being naked. I always make a note of making it very clear that I was not raised in this incarnation in a church or connected to a church. But I've had many lifetimes. So Genesis 2:25, I believe, refers to and speaks of Adam and Eve, the original nakedness. The man and wife were naked, but they did not know shame. I will repeat that. The man and wife were naked, but they did not know shame. This speaks of seeing beyond the physical form, seeing beyond the physical form, which means seeing beyond the breasts, seeing beyond the chest, seeing beyond the belly, seeing beyond the hips, seeing beyond the feet, seeing beyond the flesh, seeing beyond the color of the flesh, seeing beyond the physical form, whether the form be born in the concepts and ideas of perfection or not. This is when we talk about the figures such as Jesus. And again, I repeat, I was not raised in a church at this time, but Jesus, the man Jesus, would heal a person of any colored flesh, a person of any colored eyes, a person with any shape and format of hair, because the concept and the ideas connected to the true light of God, the true light of Jesus. Again, these are words that I'm choosing to use. There are many names for God. There are many names for those who have walked the path of Jesus. Is to see beyond the flesh and to hold no shame. I often say no shame in this house. No shame. So Genesis, the book of Genesis, is speaking of seeing the soul, seeing into a person's soul. Clearing all projections, clearing all projections. The book of Genesis also speaks of Cain and Abel and the sin of harming your brother. Of course, the brother in the center of that story is Cain and Abel, two blood brothers. But we can zoom out and see this as all living life is one family, is one connection. That to harm somebody of another colored flesh, another identity, another name for God, who holds another name for God, is actually a sin connected to the ideas spoken about in Cain and Abel, as well as the ideas referred to in the original nakedness, where Adam and Eve, the archetypes of Adam and Eve anyways, knew no shame. They looked into each other's eyes and saw the soul, the heart, the soul. This is connected to the ways that we will be not only removing and drawing out. I got this image yesterday about drawing out, pulling out the poisonous residue and the blood stains of the king's spell. The king's spell is definitely connected to the Industrial Revolution and everything that has taken place since then. Everything that has taken place since the largely contemporary church movements connected to ideas that demonize the feminine. I'm now thinking of how many churches throughout the Celtic world, you can see there used to be figures of a divine feminine goddess who was depicted holding their vulva in very powerful sacred positions, and the priests that colonized and took over those lands, obviously with the backing of and instructions of kings and royals, royal bloodlines, connected to concepts of wealth that are not aligned with the true concepts connected to Jesus, is all I will say. And they actually systematically removed these images, and particularly the vulva, the sacred divine feminine portal, definitely connected to the original nakedness, yeah. And they what is the word? They ground down, they tried to remove this sacred place of the feminine within the ancient churches. And this will now be restored. This will now be mended. So Adler spoke about organ inferiority. Least or most poorly developed organ succumbs fastest to environmental demands. Disease strikes only such predisposed organs. And he changed his thinking towards looking at the aggression drive. Hostile attitude towards perceived helplessness in obtaining satisfactions may be reversed into an opposite drive of humility or submission. That then moved into thinking about masculine protest. Every child desires to be competent, to be superior, and in control of their own life. See, I wouldn't have used the word superior there at all. But that's also speaking from a woman's perspective, even though I am in many ways non-binary. Gender non-conforming is the term I feel most comfortable using when I speak about myself. Obviously, when I speak about myself, it is most probably holding messages and codes for you. The viewer. Okay, so we have like maybe eight 8% left. Okay. Working with rose quartz is very important at this time and will be beneficial to many of you. As well as working with lavender. Clearing the path, rejecting all projections, calling in ancestral protection. And reminding everybody this is a sacred place. So he's speaking about overcompensation to be manly and the admired, desired results from being perceived as manly. And this moves towards ideas around superiority striving, inherent biological urge towards self-expansion, growth, and competence. And that goes even further into perfection striving, seeking after a chosen goal or dream fulfillment based on subjective or fictional estimates of life's values. Transformation of the aggression drive into its opposite. The unconscious drive to eat, for example, becomes the conscious refusal to eat. So that can speak about fasting, that can speak about a protest. And being conscious of what is your natural drive. What do you actually need in this world? Do you need to conquer? Do you need status? Do you need wealth? Do you need power? Or do you actually just need food and water and safe spaces and community? And at what stage do we sacrifice one for the other? And is this connected to an inferiority? What the king does not want you to know is that deep in the seat of the king, deep within the heart of the matter, when it comes to the king and his ungodly, gruesome spell that has been cast over the entire earth, and he's particularly being targeted at female leaders and women who can create change, as well as non-binary, queer, rainbows who can create change, who are leaders by birth, by natural right, particularly attacking the feminine within, particularly trying to demonize and do just as they did all that time ago when they went round and they tried to scrape off those carvings of that female goddess that was not in caves, that was not engraved in rocks, that was in actual churches, ancient Celtic churches. Please give me clear and divine guidance, be most beneficial for everyone involved. Yeah, deep at that, the heart of that is actually inferiority, as well as superiority complexes. Please give me clear and divine guidance, be most beneficial for everyone involved. Many, many men have been tempted and have fallen from grace when it comes to losing sight of their original intentions, losing sight of their original goals, losing sight of their original motivations when it came to seeking, creating, or changing power dynamics. The Page of Swords, a messenger coming through in the mind, coming through in the mind space. There will be many messages brought to you in meditation. There will be many messages of the gods that will be coming forward. I'm talking about mass awakening, mass awakenings. Page of Wands. There will be many messages of fire. I'm just seeing South America in my mind's eye. There will be many lineages that know of fire magic. I'm seeing a volcano in my mind's eye. This is connected in some ways to Italy, to Rome, to the Vatican. We have the Three of Cups, collaboration, coming together, sharing cup, trusting the cup. We have the Ace of Cups, which is a new beginning in love, which comes back to Genesis, the book of Genesis, speaking of the original nakedness. Not having shame around your vessel, for your vessel holds your soul. And your soul is where the true beauty sits, where the true power, true attractiveness, true glory sits, not in the physical form. And we must always remember that the physical form is shaped in a way that the mighty powers know and understand better than we ever will. It's important to be looking out for symbolism. If you have any symbolism coming through in your dreams, please give me clear and divine guidance, be most beneficial for everyone involved. If you have any symbolism that's coming through in your dreams, it's important for you to document them as much as you can. Obviously, also be protective and careful about where that documentation sits, who sees that documentation. It's very important for us to be having quiet time to allow these conversations to come forward in our conscious mind. There are new neurons being connected between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind of every living thing on this planet. So please remember, it is not only humans that are going through a mass awakening, it is the animals, it is the plants, it is the ancient gods themselves. Some of them are being awoken from ancient slumbers, deep within the earth, high within the sky. We then have the Five of Pentacles, the World card, and the Four of Wands. False idols will fall. I'm seeing the White House. False idols will fall, and chambers that have been locked for a long time will be opened. As this happens, it is so important for you to know who you are more than to understand, break down, critique, criticize, and analyze those around you. For you must know your own making. You must understand your own element. We've had channeled messages around people, energies, and the king himself trying to pull you out of your own element. And rather than that being the idea of being taken out of an environment, it is about you, yourself, your sovereign being, your conscious mind being disconnected from and taken out of the zodiac, the astrological, and the energetic natural frequency that you hold, because these are keys and codes that unlock the gifts within you. Everyone must find and access their gifts, for that connects them to the gods, to the skies, to the heavens, as well as the underworld, understanding that this is an ongoing negotiation that is connected to a battle that is as old as time. Many of us can speak about and perceive this as a battle between good and evil. But what is more, the devil in the details, so as the angels in the details, is understanding that there has been a long, long battle going on between different bloodlines, over different ley lines, and different sacred sites that hold certain codes, certain powers, as well as chambers where ancient gods sit. Some of these are under the ocean, some of these are under rocks, some of these are under churches, some of these are under cities, some of these are under your bed. For these exist in multiple planes of reality. And yes, I can say that there will be certain relationships, certain partnerships, certain collaborations coming together that are required at this time, that are blessed, that are holy, that are sacred. And we're both partners, both energies, both frequencies, both groups, both countercultures choose not to give in to the devil's cup, to all the temptations and trappings offered by the greedy, cowardly king. Know that anything the greedy, cowardly king offers you has been stolen from another. And underneath we have the Eight of Pentacles, which speaks of learning, for we are all learning together. And learning is not just learning of the new, it is remembering what you already know deep within. That's so strange. It said 10% like 5 minutes ago or 10 minutes ago. That's interesting. In order to channel and receive and perceive and communicate, we must allow all emotions to flow. And if you have not cried, if you have not deeply cried, if you have not truly deeply mourned that which you have lost, that which you must now let go of, that which can no longer come forward with us, then your channel will not be aligned. And I think that that might be it for today. Definitely not how I expected it to go. Yeah. And listen to the trees. The trees have so many messages for us. Find out what trees are sacred to your bloodlines, the bloodlines you know of. And find out what trees are sacred to the land that you find yourself on today. And for a lot of you, channeling symbols is going to be very significant. But having said that, remember that we can all we are all so receptive to picking up on different frequencies and energies at this time, and not all want the best for us or for humanity. And I feel the lightning striking my crown. So thank you for being here, and thank you for being you. Thank you for all that you are. This is definitely not the end of the story. This is definitely not the end of the battle. But we have gone past a tipping point, and things will continue to be illuminated and shown and drawn into the light. And as that happens, it's so important that we still continue to be steadfast and draw out the poison, and be honest with yourself about what you were choosing. What's the point in having all that money if you don't got the honey, is what I'm hearing. And honey is of course connected to bees and lots of sacred medicine. So continue to expand beyond the modernized and memerized projections of words, because there is ancient meanings of words, not slang that just exists on the internet. And there's actually a lot of word magic going on the internet, which is trying to lean into and trick you into falling into that trap of the inferiority or superiority complexes. And it goes without saying that it's no longer safe, and it's no longer going to be allowed by Mother Gaia and many living beings, as well as ancient gods, will no longer allow the decimation and destruction of this world and everything that we are, because of the archetypal king's superiority complex, or secret inferiority complex, if you know what I'm saying. Okay, so much love from Codes of Harmony.